Hello, welcome to Verbling. I'm teacher Oakley, and for the next hour, actually, for the next 2 hours here on Verbling, we are going to be examining the definite article the. The is the most common word in the English language. That is to say, the most commonly used, the most frequently used word, I should say. Okay, I'm taking two classes actually this hour and the next hour to talk about use of the definite article, because although the basic rules or guidelines are fairly straightforward, in actuality, there are a great deal of special cases and exceptions when it comes to properly using the. So we'll be looking at all that. I really kind of thought it would take more than one class to get through all the material, and any leftover time that we have in the following class, we'll be doing some exercises to practice using the. Okay, well, again, a lot of material, so as I'm going through it, I really welcome your questions at any time. If you have a question, you can write it in the Verbling chat box, or really feel free to just say, Oakley, excuse me, and ask the question, because it does get a little complicated from time to time. So your questions will help me a lot in teaching the material, so don't be shy. All right, all of that said, let me do a little microphone check and welcome students to the class. Hello, Demas. How are you today?
Hello, teacher. I'm fine. Are you?
Okay. Thank you. Carolina is also with us. Hi, Carolina.
Hello, teacher.
Hi. How you doing? And
Doing well.
great. And Victor is with us. Hi, Victor. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Thank you. And Martin. Hello, Martin.
Hi, teacher. How are you?
I'm okay. I got a little bit of a cold going on, but I suppose I'll survive.
Okay.
Don't be surprised, guys, if I mute my microphone so I can cough a little. Okay. All right. Well, all right. Let's get started. I'm going to screen share some material, and let's talk about using the. First, we'll work our way from the most basic general guidelines or rules to exceptions and the like. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to look at it in a couple different ways. To start out with, if you're trying to decide whether to use there's three questions, basic questions regarding the basic guidelines of using the. You can ask yourself. Number one, is the noun indefinite or unspecified, general or definite, specific? General rule here is that the first mention of a noun is indefinite, using articles a or an, and all subsequent or following references to the noun are definite. It's been defined, and we'll use the article the. For example, all right, a man is walking down a road. Okay, a man, a road. First mention, there is a dog with the man. Okay, the man has already been defined in the previous sentence. Okay, this is the basic idea. A point that many people don't realize. Here's a first important point. The second mention of the noun may actually be a synonym. Take a look at this pair of sentences here. Combine butter, sugar, and eggs. Add flour to the mixture. Okay, mixture is, well, actually referring back to, obviously, your butter, sugar, and eggs here. So, being that the word mixture is a synonym, or okay, a word that refers back to these things, we can count it as we can count it as being described as being specific. So, okay, so here's one aspect of this. Okay. All right, so again, the indefinite article, by the way, a or an, the first mention requires a or an for a singular countable noun. Another important aspect when using articles is to understand if it's actually countable or uncountable. Very simple and very direct, no exceptions. Uncountable nouns simply cannot ever use a or an. Okay, so it's important when you learn vocabulary nouns to understand if they're countable or uncountable. Can be tricky because there are many nouns that can be countable or uncountable. For example, a glass of water, or the window is made of glass. When you're talking the material, glass is uncountable. When you're talking the receptacle or vessel, the container for your water, then it's countable. So it can be tricky. All right. So, all right, first mention for a countable noun requires a or an. No article for a plural or uncountable noun. Second mention makes the correct for both countable and non-countable nouns. So countable and uncountable, you're really most concerned with a and an. All right. All right, here, another example. A growing plant must have water and minerals. The plant must also have sunlight. Okay, sunlight being uncountable, we don't use anything. The minerals, which are countable, even though it's plural, must include nitrates, and the water, which has already been mentioned above, must not be saline, and water is uncountable. So notice how that works. In successive following mentions, then we use the for either countable or uncountable. All right. Okay, well, before we continue, we've got a whole bunch more people in the class, so let me quickly welcome them. Francisco, how are you?
Hi, teacher. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Excuse me, sorry. And Sam, good morning. How are you, Sam?
Good morning.
Morning.
Fine, thank you.
Okay, and Carlos. Hello, hello. Hi, Carlos.
Hi, teacher. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Okay, before we get into this next specialness, let's. I would like you guys to try this out. Just very basically, 2 sentences. Keep it simple. Okay. Just something like this. A man is walking down the road. There's a dog with the man. 2 sentences wherein you're going to use maybe a or an with a countable noun, or nothing, maybe, with an uncountable noun. And then the second sentence, you'll use the same noun again, which would require the. Well, let's give it a try. Make sure you got this first most basic concept. Demas, can you give this a try?
What can I do?
I would like you to just two sentences, one in which just keep it simple. Whatever, I have a pencil. I want you to demonstrate how the first time you mention a countable noun, the pencil is black. Okay, with a countable noun. I just want to make sure that you guys got this basic concept. Okay, I have some. Okay, the water is clear. I'm asking you guys to do. All right, two sentences to demonstrate. Okay, notice in the second sentence I'm using an uncountable noun. I cannot use a or an. This is it. I just want to check that everybody's got this first most basic concept. That's it. Okay?
Okay. Okay. I have a mobile phone.
Uh-huh.
The mobile was made by Nokia.
Okay, that's it. That's it. You got it. All right. Mobile phones are countable. You could have 3 phones, so we use a. That perfect. Thank you. Carolina, give it a try.
Yes, teacher. There is a new supermarket in the park where I can buy milk at the supermarket. I don't know.
Okay, there's a new supermarket at the park. Okay.
The supermarket sells fruits also. Sell
Okay.
fruits also.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. A new supermarket. Okay. First of all, demonstrate. All right. This demonstrates that even when we use an adjective, we are still going to the article usage, the article rules still remain the same. Okay. Terrific. The supermarket sells fruit also. Okay. A couple thing. Carolina, you said fruits. Also, fruit. This is a very weird thing in English. Actually makes no sense at all. Vegetables are countable, but fruit are not. So I wouldn't have an S here.
Okay.
Okay. Sells fruit. Also, and I wouldn't use also here because also in conjunction or in relation to what? Right? When we use also, okay, the supermarket sells meat, the supermarket sells fruit also, okay, relative to the meat, so it doesn't make sense all by itself. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, all right, notice the first mention of fruit, again, it's uncountable, so no a or an. All right. Okay. All right. Great. Victor, you want to give this a try?
Okay. A highway crosses the city. The highway goes from south to north.
Okay.
From south to north.
Yeah. I'm having a mental
Sorry.
here. I'm having a mental. I was trying to remember if I needed to capitalize the directions, and I do if they're not used as an adjective. If they're used as a noun, I should capitalize them. Took me a minute. Okay, your sentences are very good. Okay, now this is very interesting, Victor, because you use the for the first mention of city. Ah, even though it's mentioned the first time. I knew something like this was going to happen. Do you know why you did it? It is correct. You are right. But do you know why you're right?
Really, I don't know why. I always use the CD, I think.
Okay.
But really, I don't understand about the roles to use the.
All right. Okay. You use you're using the here because you're assuming that the listener knows exactly which city you're talking about. Probably the city you're in as you're having the discussion. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, okay, this brings up a very, very interesting concept. All right, wrap your head around this one. Get ready. All right, a very interesting concept in English and kind of backwards. All right, here it is. When you're using a verb tense, continuous as opposed to a simple or a perfect tense, whatever. When using a verb tense, the choice of the verb tense is entirely up to the speaker's, dependent on the speaker's point of view, how the speaker thinks about it. Are they more concerned with the action? They'll use a continuous tense. Are they more concerned with the result? They'll use a simple tense. It's all up to the speaker and the speaker's concept. Now, looking at articles, it's a little bit almost backwards. It is what the speaker thinks the listener knows. All right,
Okay.
wrap your head around that one. So the speaker in this case would assume that the listener knows that he's talking about the city where they're standing right now, or the city that they're in. Okay, so to some degree, in a much broader way, in a general way of thinking about it, it works like that with the choice of the article. Sometimes, well, has to do with what is assumed the listener knows or doesn't know. Okay. All right. So a highway, the highway, great. Highways are countable, so this is totally correct. Okay, from south to north. Notice that we don't say from the south to the north. It's not necessary with directions. We'll get to that when we get to the crazy exceptions later. All right. It depends. If you say, I live in the south of the city, okay, but when, okay, then you use the. But when you're talking in a general sense, as in here, you don't need an article with directions, south, north, east, west. Another weird, we'll get to that later, another strange exception. All right, Martin, you want to give it a try?
Okay, let's try.
All right.
I would like to have an idea. The idea.
I would like to have what?
I would like to have idea. The idea is to think in a phrase.
To think in a phrase?
Phrase.
Like that?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Wait a minute. An idea. First one.
And
Okay. All right. All right. Huh. Okay. Well, grammatical use of the, you know, with an idea, the idea, and then a phrase first time you introduced it. I have no problem with your use of the articles. Just the whole context is a little strange. A little strange to say, I would like to have an idea. Well, go ahead. Well, go ahead. Who's stopping you? I don't know. It's a little odd.
But it's right, that phrase.
Okay.
I can try another idea. It's fine. I use that did article.
Okay. Okay. All right. Wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You just said I can try another idea. By the way, if you are using determiners, other determiners, that is, if you're using other determiners, you need no article. Okay, hang on. A little side note here. Martin, do you know what determiners are?
The terminals are?
Yeah. What? Can you give me an example?
Example for using the N or A?
No. Okay. Before a noun, sometimes we use articles. If we use a determiner, we do not use an article. Determiners are specifically that, these, those, this, as well. Quantifiers like some, many, or other quantifiers.
Any.
Another would be a quantifier. Okay. Some, many, and also possessive pronouns. My, your. Okay. Possessives like my socks. Okay. Your, etc. Okay. When you're using whoops. When you're using determiners, you never need to use an article, by the way. Another side note. Okay, well, I'm going to let this go, Martin. It's a little strange contextually, but you've got the grammar idea down, so I'm just going to let that go because we got a lot more material to cover. Francisco, you want to give this a try?
Okay, teacher. I am lost, teacher. Which A?
Sorry, you
Or
cut out a little bit. What did you say? Could you repeat that?
can you hear me, teacher?
I can now. You cut out when you were speaking before. Could you repeat what you said?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Okay, an example. Okay, I have a very interesting magazine.
Okay. Uh-huh.
The magazine is about science and technology.
All right. Great. All right. Interesting. Keeping things moving. I'm just going to say, okay, very good. All right. So A, and here he's got an adverb and an adjective in front of the noun, but still using A. Very good. First time it's mentioned, and then the magazine. Great. About science. Science is the first mention. All right. And science is uncountable. In this use, it's uncountable because you're using it in general, so no article. So this is correct. Good job. This is exactly correct. All right, Sam, your turn. Give it a try.
Yes, sure.
All right.
I visited to a pyramid.
Oh my God, how do you spell pyramid?
Pyramid.
Got it.
Pyramid. Yes, the pyramid was far from Cairo city.
Okay. All right. Okay. First of all, your use of articles is perfectly correct. However, you don't need to with visited.
Okay.
I visited
Right.
my grandmother. I visited a pyramid. You don't have to include the preposition to show motion or movement. It's not
Okay.
necessary. I visited a pyramid. The pyramid was far from Cairo City. If it was New York City, fine.
Mhm.
Okay, I live near New York City. But because it's kind of an intrinsic part of the name, but with Cairo, we don't normally call it Cairo City. Or at
Okay.
least English speakers don't. I don't know.
Okay. We just
So
call the name.
yeah, just the name. All right.
Okay.
Paris, Beijing, whatever, just the name. New York City, okay, we frequently say New York City. So it's kind of expected, NYC. All right, but okay, article use is great. Carlos, want to give this a try?
Okay, teacher. Some newspaper have a digital version
Uh-huh.
that the printed newspaper
Yeah, one more time, sorry.
the printed newspaper will disappear in the future.
Okay, this is interesting. This is quite wow, Carlos. Haven't you given us a can of worms? Okay. First of all, okay, you're talking in general more than one. Some, by the way, first of all, some is a quantifier, so we don't need an article. But whenever we use some, this is a frequent mistake. Either it's uncountable, like some water, or if it's countable, like newspapers, it has to be plural. Some cats, some pencils, some newspapers. Okay, have a digital version, very good. The printed newspaper, all right, will disappear in the future. Now, okay. This is very interesting. Okay, so we have newspapers in general in the first sentence, and then the printed newspaper. Okay, which you're talking about as basically a concept will disappear in the future. There, okay, way down the list. All right. Do you know why you did that? I don't know where it is. It's somewhere way down the list here in our list of exceptions. Media and communications. All right, systems of communications and mass media. Not the actual machine, like the telephone that you actually touch, but the concept. The newspapers are all in agreement on the latest financial disaster. Even if it's the first mention. Carlos, you're mentioning printed newspapers, and that's different than your general reference to newspapers in the first sentence. You're getting ahead of us here, but that's okay. You're getting ahead of us because this is one of the, unfortunately, many weird exceptions to using the. You can use the in the first mention of the newspapers, the telephone, the internet. When you're talking about communications and mass media, the one exception to this is television. So an exception to the exception. Isn't English fun? Okay. So I'm not sure if you know why you did that, but this is why. You are absolutely, totally correct. Okay, so this is a strange exception to the rule, all right, which you have used here. Okay, so there it is. Will disappear in the future. Carlos, why did you use the with future? It's the first time you mentioned it.
I don't know. I always, or also I think we have to use article before a time. The future, the past. Really?
Okay, in general, yes, you are absolutely correct. Why? Because there's only one future, and there's only one past. Okay, if I don't, if barring that we get into multi-dimensional universe discussion, let's not go there. It's already a complicated enough class. Barring the fact, barring concepts of multiple universes, multiverse, there's only one future, and there's only one past. So there you go. With things that we consider there's only one of, which is a nice intro to the next part. Okay, let's move on. You were correct to do that. Your sentence, your uses were all perfect here, Carlos. So good job. All right, let's look at special groups of nouns, even if they have not been mentioned in the preceding sentence or clause. All right. First group consists of nouns which refer to shared knowledge of the situation or context. Okay. Kind of like the future. All right. If you're in Canada, you can say the Prime Minister will arrive tomorrow. All right. Actually, even closer to what Victor did. There is a highway in the city. It is assumed that you have this shared knowledge of situation or context. This is the same reason why if you're sitting at the dinner table, you can ask your brother to pass the salt. Obviously, you can both see the salt on the table which you are sitting at. So it is automatically defined. It is automatically the definite article. All right. So there you go. This is exactly what Victor did when he said there's a highway in the city. All right. There's only one Prime Minister in Canada, and you're in Canada, so it's clear who you're referring to. Similarly, if there's only one hospital in town, you can say he's been working in the hospital for 2 years. However, if you live in a city that has many hospitals, you really can't say that without defining it a little more clearly. So you might do that by naming the particular hospital. For example, you might do something like this. He's been working at Toronto General Hospital for 2 years. He says the hospital is in a financial mess. All right. So there you go. In cases where there's only one, or there's one nearby, again, going back to the concept that you're assuming the listener knows which one you're talking about. When I say please pass the salt and we're having dinner, I don't mean the salt at the supermarket 5 kilometers down the road. It should be kind of obvious. Okay. There we go. Any questions about that one? No. All right. Onward. The second group consists of nouns referring to unique objects: the sun, the earth, the Pope, the sky, the equator, and probably Carlos's example, the future. There's only one. Okay. Very much related to the fact that you would assume, very similar to the idea that you can assume the shared knowledge. So when shared knowledge, we all know the sun. We all look up in the sky. We all see the same sun. So similar concept. Unique objects. All right. And you can't, all right, just, you have to sometimes ignore, I don't know, semantics. The moon, we know through study of astronomy that most planets have moons. Some have multiple moons. We know there's more than one moon in the universe. Nevertheless, we still we still say the moon, always the moon. All right. So a little bit unique object, a little bit shared. Again, with a shared knowledge of the situation, we all can reference the moon in our sky of Earth. All right, so there may be crossover with those first two groups. All right, and the last one, superlatives. superlative adjectives and unique adjectives, because there can only be one of these. Superlative is easy to understand. There can only be one, the tallest, or the best, or the first. So this is fairly simple. Mexico City is the most populous city in the world. Well, there can only be one. So, all right. All superlatives must take the. Every time, no exceptions. Okay, now the trickier one is unique adjectives. All right, well, here we go. I enjoyed the first part. Okay, I'm not using a tallest, best, longest superlative adjective. What I am using is an adjective first, an ordinal. So you're going to use the first, the second, the third, the fourth, etc. with ordinal numbers. Because there can only be one. The fourth president of the United States was Andrew Johnson. There can only be one fourth president. Notice the end of the sentence, I was disappointed at the end. There can only be one end.
Sorry, I have a question related to this point.
Please.
I can say I enjoyed the next part because it's possible that we have a different next part.
Okay. Well, okay. In context, it isn't though. Yes, the next part. The next part of the test was really difficult. Yeah, but you would probably be saying this in reference to something else anyway, wouldn't you? Can you give me an example?
For example, I enjoyed the next part. Oh, no, sorry. I am waiting for the next part of the movie, for example. Or I'm waiting for the next.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm waiting for the next
Train,
part,
the next bar.
part of the movie. Okay, installment of the movie, like a series of movies. All right, like that.
Yes.
Okay, maybe even a series. Okay, but there can still only be. It's still unique. There can only be one next part. It's the part that follows this part. So again, all right, these three reasons kind of cross over. It's unique, but also, Victor, you're kind of assuming that your listener knows about the part you just saw, the shared knowledge of the situation.
Okay, I got it.
You could assume that the person has seen whatever, I don't know, what's a series of movies? I don't know. He's seen the latest Mission Impossible movie. All right, I can't wait for the next Mission Impossible movie. So, okay, to some degree, it's unique, but it's also shared experience or knowledge. You might assume that your listener knows that the last Mission Impossible movie came out. So, but yeah, you are, when you use the next, it's always the. You're right about that specifically. Okay. She is the principal researcher. All right. Notice principal. We're often going to be using adjectives that designate the oneiness of something, or the end, the future, as Carlos said earlier. The noun itself is unique. So, okay, this last part you're looking at an adjective that makes it unique, okay, really this is a noun as well. Okay, back to our original question, if you remember, which was, all right, ask yourself these three questions. All right, that was question number one. On to question number two. Woohoo! Is the noun modified? Okay, we've actually just covered part of this. Pre-modification, if the noun is preceded by any of these determiners, which I had already introduced. Okay, so determiners that, this, these, those, or modifiers, some, any, each, every, and many, many other quantifiers, by the way. No, none. Me, mine, or also numbers. If you have 3 pencils, then you cannot use an article as well. And another modifier that I would also throw in there is actual numbers. Okay. Do not use the definite article. Okay, so for example, the red books, that's okay. Some red books, no the. No red books, no the. His red books, no the. Each red book, all right. Okay, so you can think of that as pre-modification or using demonstratives, however you can sort it out in your own mind. B here, post-modification. All right, if the noun is followed by a dependent clause, a relative clause, for example, which defines the noun. He is the man who sold me my car. Well, okay, I'm defining him, and that's why it's called a definite article. It's been defined. So you frequently we're talking about relative clauses. These are the clauses which use who, which, that, and others. Sometimes, basically, okay, I have to clarify this information in the material. You're using a dependent clause which defines the subject noun. That noun is most assuredly going to have the. Definitely. Now, it also says, or a prepositional phrase. Well, not always. Sometimes, this is debatable, and this is a tricky part. Sometimes if you have enough prepositional phrases to define it, then you can use the, even though it's the first mention of the noun. Sometimes it's really not quite good enough. All right, let's see if we can see what that is. Let's see what I mean there. The man who lives next door is Chinese. Yeah, in this case, relative clause, we're always going to be using the. Okay, we take the regular collection of garbage for granted. Now here, we're using a prepositional phrase. All right. Here, okay, apparently it's enough. All right, here's another example. The journey, which journey? Okay, which collection? What collection? Which what? All right, of garbage. Which journey? The journey to Vancouver takes 3 days by train. Okay. Okay, so this is considered to be enough of a definition to use the. This can be very tricky, quite honestly. No one expects the results that were found. Okay, relative clauses is fairly easy. That were found. That's always going to be enough. But with prepositional phrases, I mean, for example, in this journey to Vancouver, I don't know, I could say a journey to Vancouver takes 3 days by train and still be correct. By train. Okay, wait a minute. I just noticed that. Sorry. Okay, maybe without by train, I would have to say a journey to Vancouver takes 3 days because I don't know how I'm traveling. By car, by train, by covered wagon, by horse. I don't think that's well enough defined, even though we have a prepositional phrase here. To Vancouver. But we have by train. Okay, now it's enough to define it. So this is one of the very, very tricky areas of using the definite article. When is enough enough? When has it been defined enough? I guess the general rule of thumb if you can question it. Like if we get rid of by train, if I can question, how are you taking the journey? If I can actually reasonably pose a question and throw into doubt which journey, subject noun, or which object noun I'm talking about, then it should not have the. Of course, you can't do that when you're speaking. Maybe if you're writing something, an essay or something, you can take that into account and use that rule. So here's an area where, frankly, don't panic about it. Don't worry about it too much, because honestly, native speakers are not going to differentiate. They're not really going to hear. They will hear if you forget to use any article for journey here, no matter how you say it. But they're not really going to notice if you use a or the, quite honestly. And frankly, it's debatable. There are billions of possible sentence constructions with prepositional phrases, literally billions. So no one wants to argue each and every one. Okay, here is an exception, important to note. Collective nouns always take the indefinite article. For example, a box of matches, a deck of cards, a bar of soap, a herd of cows, a carton of milk. All right. Here's a definite rule. Okay. Okay. Now, of course, we're talking about the first mention. Okay, I have a deck of cards. We will use the deck of cards to play solitaire, whatever. So, okay, this we're talking about first mention here, not always, always, always. You can use the afterwards, after you refer to it. Okay, just like other regular nouns. Okay, and number 3. Is the noun generic? Well, what does that mean? Generic, general. Generic, general. You're talking about a whole group or a whole class of things. To generalize about all possible members of the group, there are 5 patterns one can use. All right. Hold it. Okay. Here we go. All right. There are different ways to do it. So, okay, generic reference is often done in academic writing, for example, maybe news reporting. Okay, you can, A, use no article plus a plural countable noun. For example, it's astonishing what gymnasts can do, gymnasts in general. So you just use a plural. Okay. Let's actually make sure you understand. We don't have enough time for everybody to try every one of these, so I'm going to go around with each new rule. Demas, can you give me an example of no article and a countable noun talking about them in general?
I'm thinking. So it's maybe a water. Take me some.
Water's an uncountable noun, so.
Count.
Countable noun.
I don't know.
I'll give you an example. I like cats. All cats.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. Okay. So when you're talking about something totally in general, all right, I like cats. Okay. Okay. Musicians are crazy. You do not use an article, but you use a plural for countable nouns. All right. Next, no article plus an uncountable noun. Love can cause a lot of suffering. Okay. Water. Whatever. Water, alcohol, salt. Uncountable nouns. Carolina, can you try making a sentence with an uncountable noun using this rule to talk about it in general?
Your information will be useful? I don't know. Information? No.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm very confused. What is your sentence?
My sentence is your information will
Your?
be information.
Well, you've defined it, so that's not really
Okay, okay.
a pronoun, a determiner. Okay. Talking about something.
Information in the
All.
internet.
Okay, there you go. All information. Okay,
Mhm.
there you go. Not any specific information.
Information are available on the internet.
Okay, information. It's uncountable because it's uncountable because it is. With an uncountable, we're going to use the verb is, not information are,
Okay.
because we can't make it plural. It's impossible to be plural. Okay. Is available on the internet. There you go. Okay, very good. And once again, I always misspell the word available every time. Okay, and once again, we're using the internet because it's a mass media, mass communication. We're talking about it in general. We use the. This is an exception we'd seen earlier with the newspapers. Okay, very good. That's the idea. All right. Good job. Okay, next one, to talk about things in general. Indefinite article, A or N, plus a singular countable noun. All right, instead of a plural, it's astonishing what gymnasts can do. It's astonishing what a gymnast can do. Okay. This pattern cannot be used to discuss the location or existence of something or someone. For example, you cannot say a lion lives in Africa. If you say a lion lives in Africa, you're saying that one lion lives in Africa. That, of course, is ridiculous. Of course, there's thousands of lions in Africa. So, if you want to talk about basically location or something where it is, you can't use this pattern. Again, often in academic writing, we either use a plural, countable. We usually use A, B, or C. And there's very, very, very common. Usually, you have an option, whether you want to use C, A, cat is a wonderful animal. Cats are wonderful animals. You usually have a choice, and either is correct. It's very normal. You can say it one way or the other. Okay, Victor, can you give me an example of using an indefinite article with a singular countable noun to talk about it in general?
Okay. For example, it's incredible the things that a child can learn in internet. The things.
Oh, okay. A child?
The things that a child.
Okay. That here is kind of optional, but yes, that's fine. Okay. Can learn on the internet.
Learn, yes.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Great. All right. Okay, notice that we have to use the with things because we have a relative clause which defines what things exactly. Okay, and in the relative clause, we're talking about children in general, but we're using this form. Okay, very good. Nice. All right, good job, Victor. Excellent. Okay, another option. Definite article plus singular countable noun. All right, I hate this one. I hate this one because it's damn confusing, frankly. It's only used in very, very formal writing. Or sometimes you may see this like on a National Geographic special about, I don't know, the peacock is the most extravagant bird in the Nepali forest. Okay, very kind of official. When scientists talk, we would never do this in spoken English. Okay, it's very much relegated to academia. All right, so you may hear this in a National Geographic special, this type of structure, or you may read it in an encyclopedia or something. But using it in real life makes you sound pretentious and overly formal. It's extremely formal. All right, well, anyway, demonstration. Francisco, you want to try it? Francisco, are you there?
Yes, teacher, I'm here.
Okay. I'm going to try this one using a definite article, that is the, plus a singular countable noun. All right. Here's the...
Okay. It's incredible what computers can do.
Okay. Well, what? Again, okay, here's what we're trying to accomplish with the. Yeah, okay, that's right. Now, all of these patterns we're talking about, you can use at the beginning of a sentence, at the beginning of a paragraph, talking about something in general. All of these. All right. All of these. Last one here. Definite article plus nationality. All right. The Chinese have an ancient culture. I might add any ethnic group, nationality, religious group, whatever, any kind of subgroup of ethnic nature. All right. Whatever. There's a indigenous tribe in your country. Okay, in this country, the Ayeta. They're not a nationality. They don't have their own country, but they're a separate culture. So the Ayeta tend to live in the mountains, I could say. And this one, okay, we always do this. If you're actually talking about some ethnic group of people, we're always going to use the. We're not going to say Chinese have an ancient culture. It sounds weird just using it without the. Okay, we'll get into the special uses in our next class. Pattern A, okay, for these patterns we just looked at, pattern A is the most common in colloquial English, that is to say, speaking. If you remember, saying, using the plural noun, I like cats. This would be most normal in speaking. Or, I like water. I like chocolate. Okay, with uncountable noun, no article. All right, this is most common in speaking. I like cats. I like chocolate. For countables and uncountables. And as I said, D is just weird. Unless you're presenting scientific material, I would just ignore this entirely. Frankly, it's just very confusing. Okay, next class. Special uses of articles. I'll be back in just a minute or two. So for round 2. Okay, put them up. All right, thank you very much. I hope you learned 1 or 2 useful things, and I'll be back with more definite article in a couple minutes. Thank you.